Peace, everybody. It's DS1 Ross. I'm back. My live stream dropped. So, just for anybody who just tuned in and they missed what I went through so far, I'm going to start from the beginning. As y'all can see in the title, who I'm talking about today, I'm talking about the father Tupac Shakur, the man behind the great Tupac Shakur. So, let's get into the information, family. Dr. Mutulu Shakur is a new African man whose primary work has been in the area of health. He is a doctor of acupuncture and was a co-founder and director of two institutions devoted to improving healthcare in the Black community. Mutulu Shakur was born on August 8th, 1950 in Baltimore, Maryland, as Jarrell Wayne Williams. At the age of 7, he moved to Jamaica, Queens, New York City, with his mother and younger sister. Shakur's political and social consciousness developed early in his life. Keynote, family, early. His social consciousness began to develop early in his life. Keep that in mind. His mother suffered not only from being Black and female, but also was blind. These elements constituted Shakur's first confrontation with the state, while assisting his mother to negotiate through the maze that made up the social service system. Through this experience, Shakur learned that the system did not operate in the interests of Black people, and that Black people must control the institutions that affect their lives. This is deep, family. I hope y'all paying attention. Since the age of 16, Dr. Shakur has been a part of the New African Independence Movement. As a part of this movement, Dr. Shakur has been a target of COINTELPRO carried out by the FBI. This was a secret police strategy used in the US starting in the 1960s to destroy and neutralize progressive and revolutionary organizations. It is believed that Dr. Shakur's resistance to this program led to his arrest and trial. So as you can see, family, whenever you are about the upliftment of your people and you join with like-minded people of that same ideology, which is Black empowerment, you become a target for the feds. Because COINTELPRO destroy and neutralize progressive organizations. You see? So this brother been a target since he was 16. Since the age of 16, he was a target for the feds. He was a target, family. He was looking to be taken down from 16 years old. That's deep. You see? And I hear a lot of us complain about, the snitches and the informants now. But imagine being 16 years old and you got the feds following you because you're doing something right. You're doing something revolutionary. You're not selling drugs. You're not robbing people. You're not killing people. This brother wants changes in society his mother can have the proper help. You see, this brother seeked out to become an activist because of what the state was doing to his mom. Keep that in mind, ladies, when you think black men ain't out here with y'all in mind. This brother became a freedom fighter because of his mother being stuck in a maze. His whole fight started with helping his mom. Let's keep that in mind. I'm going to continue to read. During the late 60s, Dr. Shakur was politically active and worked with the Revolutionary Action Movement, a black nationalist group which struggled for black self-determination and socialist change in America. Socialist change. That's change in society. He was also a member of the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa, which endorsed the funding of an new African Black Republic and the establishment of an independent Black state in the southern US. Dr. Shakur also worked very closely with the Black Panther Party, supporting his brother Lumumba Shakur and Zaid. So from the Proof family, Dr. Shakur was never a part of the Black Panther Party. And a lot of people thought that. But this brother supported some of the brothers who was part of that movement. He was part of another nationalist group, RAM. He was not part of the Black Panther Party. So the next time you hear somebody say Mutulu Shakur and the Black Panthers, correct him. He was not part of the Black Panther Party. He was part of the Revolutionary Action Movement. Those were that was the nationalist group that he was a part of. Let's continue. In 1970, Dr. Shakur was employed by the Lincoln Detox Community program as a political education instructor. So this brother also taught health. He was a teacher also. His role evolved to include counseling and treatment of withdrawal symptoms with acupuncture. Dr. Shakur became certified and licensed to practice acupuncture in the state of California in 1976. Eventually, he became the program's assistant director and remained associated with the program until 1978. From 1978 to 1982, Dr. Shakur was the co-founder and co-director of the Black Acupuncture Advisory Association of North America and the Harlem Institute of Acupuncture, where at Lincoln, Dr. Shakur had managed a detox program recognized as the largest and most effective of its kind by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, National Acupuncture Research Society, and the World Academic Society of Acupuncture at Baana. That's his organization, Black Acupuncture Advisory Association of North America. He continued his remarkable work and also treated thousands of poor and elderly patients who would otherwise have no access to treatment of this type. Who does that sound like? Sound like Dr. Sebi to me. Many community leaders, political activists, lawyers, and doctors were served by Baana. and over 100 medical students were trained in the discipline of acupuncture. By the late 1970s, Dr. Shakur's work in acupuncture and drug detoxification was both nationally and internationally known, and he was invited to address members of the medical community around the world. Dr. Shakur lectured on his work at many medical conferences and was invited to the People's Republic of China. In addition, in his work for Charles Cobb Commission for Racial Justice for the National Council of Churches, he developed their anti-drug program. So, people, this brother brought more than activism. He brought health awareness, family. A lot of us in the conscious community, we like to brag about certain people. We like to talk about certain people. But, we forget about others because there was a lot of other people who was part of things, you see? And what we have to understand, family, is that brothers like Mutulu Shakur, a lot of your conscious doctors or holistic health, and they deal with acupuncture, they never talk about Mutulu Shakur. I never hear none of our Black holistic health doctors give any acknowledgement to this brother. You see? You have the Hebrew Israelites who say they have drug programs where they help brothers get off drugs. But why they don't talk about the brother who was doing it back in the day? And he wasn't doing it from a religious standpoint or trying to get you to join a organization. He was healing poor Black people just because they were sick. Not because after I heal you, I'm going to build you up to join my organization. No, that brother work was health. He wanted to restore the health in the Black community. And you hear a lot of people spreading that now. They holistic healers, they're holistic doctors. And they talk about Dr. Sabi. They talk about Laila Africa. Those are all great brothers. I'm not slighting them brothers in no way. But why we not talking about Mutulu Shakur? Why we not talking about him? When, based on the information, he was one of your first Black holistic healers. And that was also pro-Black. You see? He healed his people. And guess what? He did it for free. He did it for free. So why nobody's talking about this brother? Our youth need to learn about Mutulu Shakur. And not because of his last name, but because of his works. See, when we hear Shakur, we think of Tupac. But where do y'all think Tupac got his wisdom from? Where do y'all think Tupac got his knowledge from? He got it from this man right here, Mutulu. You see? He wasn't just what you would call an activist. He wasn't just somebody who stood on the front line and fought for social change. He fought for social change by doing work. He didn't just go out and march, you know? He didn't just go out and lecture and tell black people to wake up. He actually had a skill set that he brought to the community. And the community thrived off of his skill set. He healed people. And this is what the black community needs, family. I just know a girl that she just passed away. I grew up with her. She just died of cancer in her mid-30s. You see? She never heard of Dr. Sebi. She never heard of Laila Africa. See, we have to start meeting our people on a certain ground. We have to meet our people too. All right, you never heard of Dr. Sebi? You don't want to watch Dr. Sebi? Oh, Laila Africa's boring? All right, well, find out about Mutulu Shakur. See, I know how to communicate with my people. See, I'm going to meet you where I know you at. So I can still, lead you to a person that can help you heal yourself. And I know you'll listen to him because his last name is Shakur. Everybody loved Tupac, you see? And see, when I was young, I wasn't a big Tupac fan. I'm from New York. I was a Biggie fan. I loved Big. But as I got older and my consciousness started to grow, I started to understand where Pac was coming from. You see, I started to understand his ideologies and what he was about. And that's what made me interested in Tupac. His message, not so much of his music, but the messages that came with the music. I wanted to know, where was he coming from with his music? Like, why would he make a Dear Mama? Now I understand why he would make a Dear Mama. Because his father became a social activist because of his mother, based off what I just read. His mother had issues with receiving the proper services from social services because she was a black woman in the 60s. Well, in the 50s, rather. So I could understand where Pac came from when he made a Dear Mama. Because he was taught to love his mother in that way. To where, I love you so much, Mom, that I will go out and face the world for you. And that's what Tupac was saying in that song. I love you no matter what, Mom. And we gonna get up out of this. That's strictly from Mutulu. You see? See, I always wanted to know who was the man behind the music. And the more and more I got into Tupac and his background, that's when I discovered this brother. This brother was a genius. He's a scientist. But nobody talks about him on Black History Month. But this is why I'm here, family. I'm here to bring real context to the argument. See, I'm not gonna give y'all this commercialized Black History Month series. We're not gonna do the people that they tell you to do in school. I decided to do this thing totally my way, because the youth need to understand what they dealing with. And a lot of our youth love Tupac, and they vibrating from that rebellious energy. But they need to understand where the source of rebellion came from, and where this brother learned to rebel and how to rebel. See, Tupac was taught to rebel through music. That's why his music was so powerful, because he learned that from his dad. See, his father fought white supremacy by healing his people and doing it right in front of them. You see? That's what Mutulu did. And he taught all his children to do the same thing. You don't get out in the streets and rant and rave. You get into one of these, skill sets, and you become a freedom fighter through that. Because that's what's going to make you a legend. And that's why Tupac Shakur is a legend, family. He's a legend because what this man taught him. I did it through health. You could do it through music. And that's what Tupac did. He did it through music and art, poetry. And then you had his brother, Mutulu Shakur. He was the frontline guy. He was more on the nationalist side of the game. Just like his mother, Afeni, just like Mutulu and Tupac's mother. She was more geared toward the nationalist side of the game. But Mutulu was a doctor. You see that? Another example of Black excellence, family. Another one. And his brother didn't go to college. He just was so great at what he did. He just got a license for it because he had a skill set. He had a knack for that. And see, that's what we got to develop our children into becoming. You could be a leader, but you got to have a certain skill set to lead the people. You see? And his message was heal before we build. That's why he seeked out to heal Black people. Because some way, somehow, he understood that if we felt better, we'll do better. We'll do more. The more of us that's healthy, the more lively we can be. And the more people on the front line that can fight. But if we suffering from all these diseases and ailments, how long do you think you're going to be able to fight? This brother been in jail for what, 40 years? Still look young. Because he understand how to preserve himself. See, this brother is necessary, family. Our children must know about Mutulu Shakur. Why must we hide him? Another Black doctor. Everybody likes to talk about Dr. Sabi. Everybody like to talk about Dr. Africa. And those brothers are great. But what about Mutulu Shakur? You see? His plan was to heal the Black community. You see? Why is this brother's not important to us? Because a lot of us are not privy to brothers like this because we don't seek them out. And that's what we got to stop doing, family. We got to stop forgetting brothers like this because these brothers are very important. Very important. Whether we want to accept it or not. If we all love Tupac and we all understand Tupac, then we should understand his father because that's who taught him everything he knew. That's who guided him. Tupac got guidance from this brother up until he died. I watched a documentary where they was talking about Mutulu Shakur. And he was telling Pac, you have to recontextualize your message, brother. That's when you saw Tupac turn thug life into an acronym. That's why it was an acronym. Because he wanted to recontextualize what being a thug is. Being a thug is being a revolutionary. Being a gangster is standing up for your people. And from the information, family, Mutulu Shakur been a gangster since he was 7. That brother been thugging since he was 7 years old and realized what white supremacy was. And he internalized that and started to make a change. And at 16, he was a doctor. And at 16, he also was put on the FBI list. You see, family? So let's recontextualize this to our children. Let's tell our children, listen, what you think is a gangster is not a gangster. He's the definition of a gangster. And this is what we got to do, family. If we want to get to the youth out here nowadays, we have to redefine certain things. And we have to meet them on their level. So if they calling themselves thugs, see, that's what Pac did. That's why everybody loved Pac. Because he met people on their level. Oh, y'all thugs out here? Well, I'm going to tell y'all what thug mean. I'm going to show y'all what thugging is. That's what he did. And that's what we got to do, family, with our children. Especially with all these nut ass rappers out here that's showing guns and and showing our youth that being an idiot is a gangster, but they don't understand that. Introduce them to brothers like Mutulu Shakur and let them know he's the reason why you like Tupac. See, Tupac was loved because of his message. But see, he was taught to be a light for his people by a brother, which was his father, who was a light to his family. He brought the consciousness and all that things to their family because he's not Tupac's biological father. You see? But everything Tupac knew came from that brother. Everything Tupac stood for came from that brother. And this is why this brother is very important for Black History Month, family. Here it is. We have another Black doctor, certified and licensed, being swept under the rug. Being swept under the rug, family. We got to stop sweeping brothers like and sisters like this up under the rug. We have to start talking about these people because these were our freedom fighters. The people that are not talked about. The people that were not commercialized by the propaganda machine. See, if you notice, your kids are learning about the same people from Black History Month that their parents learned about. Why y'all still talking about them same people when we learned about them? So now you gonna tell my son about them too? What about the ones that's never talked about? You see? And see, when we doing things like this, family, this is combating white supremacy. Because what you're doing is you're pushing your own narrative. And this is what Black empowerment is about. This is what revolution is about. Pushing your own narrative to your people to empower them for the better. And that's all Mutulu wanted to do. He wanted to empower his people to not have to deal with the system. What's wrong with that? I know what's wrong with that. You become a threat. And that brother was a threat. And that's why he was on the FBI list and targeted at 16. And a lot of other brothers who was with this brother or supported this brother was on the list too. And if you stand for Black empowerment, family, and other like-minded people, don't be surprised if you're not on the list. And just know, when you start making real change, 9 out of 10, you will be on the list. You see? So are we ready for that? Are we ready for that? A lot of us is talking about Black liberation. But as you can see, this brother liberated his people by healing them, by healing thousands of Black men and women. And what he became? A threat. You see? Because we must understand what white supremacy represents, and it represents dominance. And anybody who tries to operate within their own right, you become a threat. You see? And this is why they like to mention the people for Black History Month who really wasn't a threat to them. You see? See, they talk about Martin more than they talk about Malcolm because Martin was a little more docile. He was controllable. See? He wasn't super radical. You see? And that's why he's talked about. And then the other people like they like to talk about, like Frederick Douglass, Benjamin Banneker, they like to give you this watered down information of these people, but they don't give you information on these people in context, really going into what these people were about. They just tell you what they done, but they didn't tell you why they did it. And this is why our children will never be taught correct Black history or real Black history dealing with real freedom fighters. You know, not a bunch of compromised niggas like W.E.B. Du Bois. You see? So family, that's why I'm doing this Black Power series. So our youth can be introduced to brothers like this and to understand them and to understand what they represented and to understand their legacy. That's the key to this whole series. To understand that their legacy was based on freedom fighting. Everybody who I'm going to build on in this series are going to be freedom fighters for Black people. Not people who just spoke up, did they invented something and then disappeared. We're not talking about them people. We're talking about people who are notable but are not noticed. So salute to y'all, family. Salute to everybody who tuned in. Thanks again, family. This is number 2 on the Freedom Fighter list. Y'all could go check out the first freedom fighter that I did, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Y'all could check out my dissertation on her. Thanks for tuning in to this dissertation on Mutulu Shakur. Thanks for tuning in on this episode of Sheep Stay Sleep Radio, Sheep Stay Sleep live stream. Stay in tune with this Black History Month series. The third freedom fighter will be coming very soon. So stay tuned, family. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody who came through. You know, thanks for listening. Thanks for your time and support. Happy Black History Month, family. This is DS1 Ross, and I'm signing out. Sheep stay sleep, wise ones awoke. Peace.